sponsor of my stream and podcast is DistroKid. If you want 7% off on your first subscription with DistroKid, release your music to the world on every major music platform. Make sure to go to my website, andrewvanzark.com, and click on the discount link under the tab of DistroKid.
Attention Sarkarians, embark on a cosmic journey at www.andrewvanzark.com, saving by clicking on our affiliate tab. Discounts await. Your click not only unlocks deals, but supports the beats and discussions of these stellar radio stations.
At Galactic ChatWave Radio.
Join the Sith and let the unlimited power of the discounts await you in the shopping. And for you musicians to get a discount on DistroKid, www.andrewvanzark.com, your portal to savings. May the discounts be with you.
The information on this podcast is my opinion and some internet research.
Star Wars, the galaxy's most popular movie, is great family entertainment.
Huh? Aren't we listening to Galactic ChatWave Radio? What is this whistling? I'm confused.
Hosted by Andrew Van Zark.
Now you're losing your power.
Thank you. Now we can start listening to the show. I was so confused.
May the Force be with you.
Hey, Chatwave, what's up?
Hey, welcome to Galactic ChatWave Radio. My name is Zark, and this is your safe space to discuss Star Wars, Star Trek, and other geeky topics and music. So, there has been a lot of controversy lately with Star Wars, and I want to get this addressed, and I want to get this flowing as much as possible. But to start off, there's two things I want to say. Are these Star Wars fans bigots or bigots? Is Lucasfilm ready to defend the Acolye after the bigoted backlash that it's been having? Let's discuss here right now. I have here with me Lucas Legacy, a big connoisseur of the world of pop culture, and we're going to get ourselves running with this. It's going to be a really, really intense discussion here.
Sorry, man. I'm just like, okay, maybe I'll come off as an asshole, but is that like a serious question?
Well, no, it doesn't have to be a serious question. It doesn't have to be answered seriously. I just want to point out all the stuff that has been happening so far. And
yeah,
I know that the Acolye hasn't been well received, and despite not being well received, I'm still gonna watch it. I'm more interested on the video game that's gonna come out the same day of Star Wars.
You mean Outlaws? The one about the female Han Solo character?
Yeah. I'm excited for that one.
Look, I'll just say this. Us geeks and nerds, we've been the outcast of society for a very long time. It's a good thing in my era, the 2000s, we were more accepted in mainstream society, but years and years of being rejected.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, our types face lots of bigotry. And the word bigotry, look up the word bigotry. People usually think of racial divide or gender divide, but the word bigotry, you might at least when you get down to it, just means that you're just not accepted. Regardless, it could be for any reason. Maybe your tooth is slightly longer than the normal people, and for that reason alone, you're just not accepted. It's just being rejected by people who have no rational reasoning for not liking you. It's beyond certain types of discrimination. It's just general discrimination. So,
definitely.
I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Chatwave? I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I said definitely. I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's when these discussions come up by the mainstream about fan bigotry, I'll play devil's advocate, which I hate doing. For years, I would go on about how we're not bigots, we're not racist, we're not any of these things. We just want quality products, and this is their go-to to insult us or to put us down. But you know what? I'll play devil's advocate. let's say we are all bigots, and we're being bigoted against them. What do you think that is, guys? I mean, can we go down the rap sheet of all the things you've called us over the past 10 years? How you've judged us? I mean, even before this past decade, there's jokes. There's jokes about the average fan, nerd, or geek being these fat, overweight, ponytail-haired losers that live with their parents. And that's a common joke. I'm not saying that, it shouldn't be used. It's funny sometimes, but that's a common joke among mainstream celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
And that was played for laughs.
With the gamers, it happens too.
Yeah. So let's say we are bigots and we are attacking people, I guess, for race or gender, which I strongly disagree with. Maybe if you weren't assholes to us for a very long time, especially since the niches that we're into is what make you lots of money, then, we wouldn't be bigoted, so bigoted in your eyes. The type of bigotry you perceive, I guess.
For sure. It's a really sad reality. I remember, because I'm a 90s kid, and I remember when I started saying that I liked anime, I liked all this type of stuff, they would make fun of me. I started playing World of Warcraft when I was in 9th grade, and I remember, a lot of people making fun of my tasting video games, because almost everybody that played video games in my place, in my school, were just, the Call of Duty, the Grand Theft Auto, the Need for Speed, all those things that gangsters tend to like, and more manlier men tend to like, supposedly.
Manly man. Sorry, I like doing that sometimes.
Yeah, manly man. And that is what they used to enjoy. And I would be like, no, I like my JRPGs. I like my World of Warcraft. I like anime and Pokemon. And they would make fun of me. And I remember I brought my Magic the Gathering cards, and I started playing Magic the Gathering, and they were all just laughing and just yelling the Pokemon theme in a really funny manner. So I think us geeks have always been shunned, and in the 90s it was worse. And when my dad was younger, he used to watch Speed Racer, Ultraman, and all that, and Mazinger Z, or Zed, and it was more obscure by that time. They would call you a sissy if you would watch those type of stuff. And we are not like that. We're not bigots, but we get treated like so.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the 2000s, so I was in a more tolerant era where there were places where you were accepted and you weren't looked down on for being in the comic books and anime everywhere. But even I faced bullying. I faced some physical encounters just for being into stuff like that. So I wasn't even free from it. I don't think anyone is, technically.
Nope.
It's just the degrees of how much it can affect you.
For sure. Even the ones that take it a bit too far and they want to incorporate it in their romantic life, like the furries and stuff like that. Even those geeks that take it to that degree where they become a persona, they get shunned even worse. So us geeks are always put to a corner and not want to be part of society just because we're deemed weird. We don't. I remember when I was really young, a girl literally messaged me on Facebook just because I uploaded a picture of me in a convention. I was dressed as L from Death Note, and in my back I was taking a picture with some Heartless from Kingdom Hearts. And a girl literally messaged me. When I searched her profile, she looked like this girly girl, this princessy girl.
Mm.
And she literally said, "You're weird," and I automatically got blocked.
That's a classic. I'm sorry, ChatWave.
And I have never spoken to that lady. I don't even know how she got my Facebook, but she did that. And I'm like, and that's a recurring thing for geeks. People get pushed out just because they like stuff that have, lightsabers or blasters, or there's spaceships, or there's aliens or stuff like that, or sexy anime girls. And we just get shunned out of that. And the Star Wars community has been getting that a lot lately. And it's been getting worse and worse and worse, to the point that even the fans that still care about Star Wars, even the stuff that people are hating, they're getting destroyed really badly. And what scares me is that what if this is the downfall of Star Wars and we're just going to have to face the facts?
And the downfall of Star Wars has already happened.
But what I mean with the downfall, what I mean with the downfall is like legitimately, this is like the end of time, the dawn of time.
Not the end of dawn of time, because nature itself is eternal. But the quote Kenobi from Obi-Wan Kenobi, "The fight is done. We lost." That's basically what happened.
So we have the low ground.
The downfall of Star Wars. It already happened.
So they have the higher ground. They beat us. They're gonna have the high ground.
I mean, they technically always did. They have the IP. Honestly, this is why, and this will come off a bit off track, but this is why I often said gatekeeping was stupid. And it's not because I hate it. I don't hate gatekeeping. It's because how can you gatekeep something you don't own? And you have all these Star Wars fans saying we're going to gatekeep Star Wars. You don't own it. You don't have the copyright IP. You're not gatekeeping anything. Like,
mm-hmm.
I mean, and I used to think that, okay, maybe this gatekeeping thing has a point if Disney starts losing money, and then they have to like at least hear out the fans.
Right.
But these past 10 years have taught me that Disney can lose money and still ignore the fans. So this gatekeeping theory has no power. It has no structure. It's fruitless.
Definitely. And that's one thing that, you know, for those of you listening that are probably new to the show, I recently added Star Trek to my whole repertoire of discussion here. And I've had a less toxic and more inviting experience with the Star Trek community, with the Trekkies, than what I've had with the Star Wars community. And that's weird to say.
Let me guess. Do you agree with? Man, it's been so long. I don't remember his name. He played Scotty in the Kelvin films. You remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said started the Star Trek fandom's more inviting community, and you know it was just his way of bashing on Star Wars because he like a lot of people like doing that. You know, the irony of him criticizing us Star Wars fans for not being so inviting. Dude, you were the ones who freaking bashed the prequel trilogy and insulted people for liking it back when it was out. And now you're going to lecture us about not being inviting. I can't take these people.
No, for sure. No, and it's weird that most of those people that hated the prequels now enjoy the prequels.
Well, no, that makes sense. I mean, after the train wreck that was the sequels, it's just like I was waiting for Indy 5 to be horrible so that everyone that mocked and told me Indy 4 was bad to call me up and apologize. That's what happened with the prequels. I was a prequel defender when they were hated. And all of my friends that hated those films after the sequels called me up and apologized. Same thing happened with Indy 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you make something so bad, all of a sudden what people despise becomes a masterpiece.
Oh, for sure. It's like if you look at the music world, the band Metallica, when they first came out, people hated Metallica to a degree that they would throw beers at their faces on their entry point concert.
Ouch.
And then all of a sudden, lots of pop culture stuff started incorporating the Metallica stuff, like in The Simpsons and stuff like that. And people started like saying, "Hey, this is good." And now they see a different perspective to it, and now they don't hate it. Even people that hated it before, they like it now, and they're listening to their Enter Sandmans in full volume. And I'm like, "Oh, at least they're accepting it now." I think we did our purpose. We got to where we wanted to be. Same thing with the prequels. The prequels were hated first, and now we did something that brought their attention to see the goodness within the flaws of the prequels, because the prequels by no means are perfect, by no means, but they do have a lot of things that are really fun, really good, and are really entertaining to acquaintance with, you know. And that's something that I like, you know, because since forever I was a defender of the prequels, specifically with Episode 1. Episode 1 for me was like the one that got. I loved Star Wars before that, but once I saw Episode 1, my mind changed completely with the release of Darth Maul, and that's how I got really into Star Wars. And I'll always thank the prequels for that. Always and forever, And this backlash that is happening now, I have a feeling that probably Star Wars is not going to end, but what's going to happen is that the original fans of Star Wars, the fans that made the franchise what it is, that pushed it this far, are just going to get bored, move to another franchise, and a new generation of people that are not going to care about the past are going to enjoy this. That's what I'm thinking that's going to happen.
It's already happened.
And I've seen on the comments of many of the hatred with the Acolye saying almost all the people that enjoy the Acolye have pronouns in their description of their X page, and they have the LGBTQ flag. So I guess this is what we're catering to now, the new generation of open-minded woke people. And I don't have a problem, because I am accepting of all kinds of people. But I think this is the direction we're heading to. And seeing this thing that they're saying that the Sith are going to be seen differently in this era. They're going to be seen like a whole different species on its own, completely different from what we've seen before with the Sith. I think that this is just trying to let us know that life has become that. There's no good, no evil. Everything's just a jumble mess. Everything's just a humble. We don't understand who's who, what is what, and what can we do, what can't we do, Because at this point in time, most of the new Star Wars stuff, I can clearly say that it clearly correlates with what happens in real life, and this is where we at, a jumble of mess.
I'm sorry, what did you say, ChatWave?
Oh, I was saying that if you look at the new stuff of Star Wars, the new stuff of Star Wars has been catering a different type of audience. And in the Acolye, they said that one of the people that worked on the Acolye said that we're going to see the Sith in a different perspective. And it's so different that it's not going to seem not even whatsoever a minute similar to what we're used to with the Sith. And I'm saying, what are we just trying to imitate life where we don't understand what's good, what's bad, and what's accepted, what's not accepted, and how to be a decent human being?
Look, moral ambiguity was always a thing in Star Wars, even back when George Lucas worked on Star Wars. But I think one of the biggest differences back then, you actually questioned, you thought critically about what was morally good and what was morally bad, because George had so many parallels. Mm-hmm. Obi-Wan and Palpatine, for example, used the exact same argument in the third movie. Anakin is told by Palpatine that the Jedi and Sith are good and evil based on your point of view. That's what Obi-Wan told Luke in Return of the Jedi. The truth is different based on your point of view. It's meant to parallel. You're meant to question who's really good and evil. But that's the thing. You're actually meant to think. You're meant to think critically. With Disney Star Wars, I get the feeling that they may make things morally ambiguous, but there won't be much critical thinking into what's the truth. It'll just be a different perspective,
Mm-hmm. Totally. And lately, if I'm being honest, if I'm being completely honest, I think the move that Star Wars should do at this point in time, it's not continuous with more Jedis. I think we should let the Jedi things a thing of the past and just do it every now and then, really randomly, and focus more on Andor Mandalorian style of shows, because they have been doing really good with that kind of stuff, with like the more grounded, more humanized version of Star Wars.
That stuff cannot satisfy an audience for so long. I'm only saying that because I've already seen people say they're getting bored of Mandalorians and bounty hunters and just grounded Star Wars stuff. Like, Andor's a well-made show, so it's getting praise, but the general people just want good Star Wars in general. And honestly, I think what Disney should do is what they refuse to do, because that means they have to admit to a decade of failure, and that's making George Lucas a sequel trilogy.
Maybe, or or grab George Lucas' sequel trilogy scripts or whatever he has on his hands, right? And take it and maybe do exactly a sequel trilogy because we already got that, but maybe grab that idea and instead of doing it in the era he wanted to do it, make it maybe a little bit before or a little bit after the sequel trilogy so that we can have this point in time that we're acknowledging George Lucas stuff, but we don't have to admit that we did wrong. Just like how I saw on the
Disney's already been trying to do that for a while now. It's not working for them.
Damn, because if we compare that to what happened to Star Trek when the first film came out, everything, the motion picture one, the one that's really slow with Viger and all that, film was completely wrongly made. That's why there's a director's cut. Because they missed out on some of the effects. The camera was really jumbly. They forgot to stabilize the camera in a few scenes. And the color correction was completely out of whack. And when they showed it on a premiere, they noticed all that. And one of the producers or directors was like literally trying to go as far down and hide in his jacket as far as he could so no one could see the mess that they were point to him to the mess they were looking at. And the people behind the ones that were actually giving the money to make this all happen said, we already premiered it, we already showed it. You gotta commit to the reality. We can't let people know that this is not what you wanted. If you do that, if you fix it now, you will seem like you don't believe in your film. And what they did was they released it as is, and then years later, they grabbed those deleted scenes, they grabbed the better effects, and they deleted the original effects, and they remade the whole thing as it was intended.
I'm not saying that's not clever, chat, but deception and lies is honestly what dug this hole for Disney. Them trying to save face and not admitting to their biggest mistakes and constantly trying to course correct by focusing on aspects of Star Wars, that they think will garner fan interest, only to fall down the same rabbit hole they did with the sequel trilogy. It's just a repeated loop. And if they keep doing this, which it's already what they're doing, they're soon gonna, the fans that actually buy their products, there's probably not going to be many of them left. They're going to be left with the demographics they've been desperately trying to get their hands on, who don't even buy their stuff. And then they're going to lose a lot of money. Well, they're already losing money, but they're going to lose even more money. And I don't know what to say about their IPs after that. They're killing them, They're actually killing their IPs. I'm not saying they're not making any money, but they could be making a lot more money if they made better decisions from the foundations.
Do you think this is Star Wars is going to end up like Mickey Mouse, where Mickey Mouse is only praised on the parks and on the merch, but not really on the productions? Because lately there's been no productions of Mickey per se. It's only been like small.
Well, there's been those. Have you seen those Mickey Mouse cartoons? They're very fun. They're not around anymore. They recently ended, but since 2013, Mickey Mouse has been getting these fun cartoons that are based on the original character that people enjoy their little shorts.
Yeah, I love those Mickey Mouse shorts. They make me laugh.
I know, I love them too. That's the little of Mickey Mouse that people have in this era of Disney. With Mickey just being a
goofball, just
a boy, not a Boy Scout, my scout. What's wrong with me today?
I don't know. We're all having the stroke.
Mascot. There we go.
Mascot. Yeah, he's just a mascot.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's gonna happen. That might happen with Star Wars at some point. That it's gonna die, like in terms of production. But
so
the small stuff
already here.
No, but I mean, like, legitimately, like, there's not gonna be no new announcement of anything, and we're just gonna have just random comics, random books, and merch on the parks. And the only thing that's gonna keep Star Wars memory alive it's gonna be Galaxy's Edge.
Galaxy's Edge. That theme park and that hotel, that was bad. That hotel was a horrible idea. Those things were also mistakes. Like, majority of fans, I'm not saying the sequel era doesn't have any fans, but majority of fans care about the original and prequel era. The sequel era is at the bottom bin for the fandom. You decide to base an entire theme park on the era that most fans aren't interested in, mainly because you screwed it up.
Yep.
That was one of the most, I'm trying not to curse right now, I'm trying to be professional. That was one of the poorly judged decisions.
No, definitely. No, and what's funny is that I went recently to Galaxy's Edge, and what happened was I was like, why am I seeing so many characters that are not part of the sequel trilogy? What's happening? I searched on the internet, and Disney has technically been cornered and forced by the fans indirectly, because the fans haven't said anything, but that indirectly to have to put Clone Wars characters walking around and some posed Return of the Jedi characters. They've been literally forced because of the analytics they analyzed from the Star Wars franchise, and it's at some point they have to reinvent.
There were private board meetings, ChatWave, where they sat around and literally admitted that their sequel era products, merchandise, that it's not selling. So they're going to be focusing on prequel era and original era content moving forward for the last couple of years. That's why you have all these spin-off shows that predate the sequel trilogy, whether it's post Return of the Jedi, during the original trilogy, or the prequel trilogy, or before the prequel trilogy. They're mainly focusing on past content because they know the era they made themselves with no influence of George Lucas or Dave Filoni or just anyone else who did quality Star Wars before they owned the IP. They know it doesn't sell. Mm-hmm. And that's why that's why you're not seeing any post Rise of Skywalker or anything. I'm not saying it won't happen at all. We have a Rey movie that's coming out, which was another very poor decision. Mm-hmm. But it's like they're not greenlighting a lot of that stuff because they know it doesn't sell.
No, exactly. And what's funny is that they do like parades and events within the parks. So the thing is, when they try their hardest to do sequel trilogies, parades or events or stuff like that, like little dancey routines or having the characters do like a routine or something, it gets a crowd around the characters, but not as big as when you go to the Star Tour section and you see that Darth Vader Boba Fett show. That it really packs.
Yeah.
The Darth Vader Boba Fett show thingy, it does pack. And more kids are more interested in joining in to destroy Darth Vader than they are to talk to Kylo Ren.
It's funny because, when I don't think I told you, when I went around asking women and children how they felt about the Disney sequel trilogy, because these are the main demographics Disney were after. They were after, like, more female fans and the next generation, which are kids. When I went to them and talked to them about it, Kylo Ren was the one character most people seem to care about, compared to everyone else. So the fact that even Kylo Ren, as popular as he is not getting much attention, I don't know, it's just kind of sad. Yeah. You know?
Well, the only thing that people care about Kylo Ren is just he does this thing that if you're walking around with anything light side related, he'll curse on you. Like, family friendly style because they can't curse, but he'll curse on you and tell you to walk away just because you look light side.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll make the troopers that are walking with him, the First Order troopers, tell you to walk off or I'll blast you off.
Yeah. And
that's the only thing that people care about, getting shone by Kylo Ren. And the most fun thing to happen with Kylo Ren within the park is when you're trying to make yourself a custom-made lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
In this era, if you're aware, you're not supposed to be doing any weapons of any sort. And the First Order is just trying to get all the control. And Kylo Ren literally walks by and starts staring at everybody in the line like, what are you guys doing? You guys are asking to be shunned, to be destroyed, and to be put as illegal.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that people care about that. But the event with Darth Vader and Boba Fett, it's just super great. And what makes it fun about the Darth Vader and Boba Fett event is that at some point they goof off and they put techno and they start dancing.
Right, yeah.
So who doesn't like to see Darth Vader dancing on some techno? There's even a GIF on every platform of Darth Vader dancing. So who doesn't like a dancing Darth Vader? I sure do.
It sounds fun.
And then what's more fun? It's when the little kids get called in, and literally Darth Vader has to play like he's getting force pushed by a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old.
There are these schematics for a Lucas World theme park, which would focus on different parts of the Star Wars galaxy. Like different parts of the theme park would represent Hoth or Tatooine or whatever.
Yeah.
That was popular, and it doesn't exist. Disney should have just done that.
If I'm not mistaken, I think someone from Disney saw that fan-made schematic, and they were considering to show it to the CEOs, but it never got to that point.
That's so dumb. Like, look, just do that, and then you could have once you do that, you could show characters from every era. Yes, even the sequel era. Bring them all. Heck, you know what? Bring not just the eras. Just bring out characters from every version of Star Wars canon and Star Wars multiverse. Just bring them all out and put them around the entire place, so every single Star Wars fan can see what they loved growing up. Even sequel fans, despite me very much hating their era, just do it all. Like,
yep.
Instead of focusing on one segment of Star Wars that wasn't successful, Disney, I'm just going to be honest with you. If you showed it all, your chances would be better.
Definitely. And if I see some Rebel characters, ooh, trust me, I'll flip.
Yeah, and in terms of, look, what you said earlier about focusing less on the Jedi.
Yeah.
Most Star Wars fans want to see the Jedi. Most Star Wars fans want to see the Sith. Most Star Wars fans want to see more Skywalker stories. I keep hearing media people talking about let's not focus on the Skywalkers. Here's the thing. You can create more Star Wars products where you don't focus on the Skywalkers. That's fine. But they need to be of high quality. And you can create products that do focus on the Skywalkers as long as there's high quality. What fans and audiences want is high quality. That's what they want. They want to enjoy themselves. They want to have fun.
Exactly.
That's what people are really looking for.
Yeah, it's like if we compare it to the biggest competitor, Star Trek, you see they change the crews from the Enterprise and the captains and all that pretty often. And sure, there's going to be a lot of people, a really handful, big majority that's going to be like mad. Oh, I don't like this captain. This other captain was better. But something about Star Trek, when they change the captains, in my case, I see new characters and the story is compelling and I'm like, I enjoy this. I've heard a lot of bad things about Discovery, you know, and I've seen as much as I can from Discovery and I've been like, this is not half bad. I actually like it. I actually enjoy this. You know, and for some reason,
their own, man, I could not stomach Discovery, man. Well, there's some things in it I like, but I couldn't discover it overall. But if you like it, man, I respect it.
I like it, but I don't love it.
Discovery, but I respect your opinion. Is what I mean.
I don't love it. I just like it because I still think that Deep Space Nine will always have a big heart on me, and Lower Decks.
Yeah, but like, look, look, but it's like. Like, fans need to accept that they disagree on things and make peace with it. Because, like, it's like for me to look down on you for thinking Discovery isn't half bad would be no different than those Star Trek purists lecturing me about liking the Kelvin films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, and that's what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to get at with this is that even though different installments of Star Trek can piss off a big handful of fans, better said, of fans, we can still see they do a smooth transition between characters. We feel like, okay, maybe if we don't like this, doesn't affect our previous thing. in a way, because even though they do connect, I feel like every show of Star Trek, every film and everything, at some extent, they're standalone. And I think that's what Star Wars should do. Cater to everybody, but make them indirectly connect, so that way it doesn't affect what we like and don't like.
Well, honestly, I said this before. You want to make all portions of the fandom happy. What you need to do is give them access to everything. And what I mean by that is that us Lucas canon fans, people like me, people don't want to see George Lucas's sequel trilogy so bad and want to see like Lucas's overall stuff. He had an underworld show focusing on the underworld of Coruscant, stuff like that. Greenlight that and follow Lucas's direction. All the EU fans that want to see their books and games and stuff come to life. You can make movies and shows and around that. You can continue the book line. And Disney canon fans can still have their Disney canon content. Like if you basically made all Star Wars canons in the Star Wars multiverse accessible to fans, and you actually followed on quality, you wouldn't have an angry fan base. One of the biggest reasons why the Star Wars fandom is so angry is because they have to accept that The Last Jedi and the sequel trilogy is tied to any new entry of Star Wars whatever that they're being given to view. And it's like, if you gave access to all versions of Star Wars canon across the different universes that fans actually enjoy, then fans that despise the sequel trilogy or fans that despise anything Star Wars, they could just turn to what they prefer. Mm-hmm. That would have been smarter.
Yeah.
But, yeah, by sticking to one continuity that you're not even consistent with in and of itself, and don't put high quality into, it's no wonder fans are not happy.
Exactly. Because what bothers me in a way is that this is something I enjoy about the High Republic, is that I've barely touched on the High Republic. I've only read like a few books and a few comics here and there. And
I've read some books and comics too. Not all of them, but I've read some as well.
Yeah. And what I like about the High Republic is that if you never touch it, you never watch it, and you like the other stuff of Star Wars, it doesn't affect you in any shape or form. It seems like it's its own world, its own standalone thing.
Yeah. Well, that's Disney's problem. And it's not their only problem, but it's one of their problems. And one of the interesting quotes from George Lucas during talking about the Force with his crew is, he says that the Force gives you a destiny, but since people have free will, they get to pick and choose whether they want to follow that destiny or go down in their own path. The biggest example of this is Darth Vader. Anakin slaughtering the Jedi, helping start the Empire, stuff like that. None of that was supposed to happen. You have some fans who have their own personal opinions that was inherent to the prophecy. It wasn't. Anakin's role was to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force. By him becoming a Sith and turning the galaxy into a hellish, tortured landscape where planets get blown up for sinning against the Empire, that wasn't meant to happen. That was not the destiny the Force set up for Anakin. He altered the future for the worse. And then later, he fulfilled his purpose when he threw Palpatine down that shaft. Mm-hmm. What that tells you, and it's one of the things in Star Wars lore, is that the future, the past, the present, it isn't linear. It's based on the actions of the characters. And if the characters choose specific actions, then they will rewrite history. Lucas also said that Obi-Wan changed the course of history when he went to face Anakin on Mustafar. And the reason why Obi-Wan changed the course of history was because if Anakin didn't face Obi-Wan on Mustafar, according to Lucas, he would have become Emperor of the Universe. What that means is Obi-Wan wouldn't have sliced off Anakin's limbs, which means a lot of Anakin's potential would still be there. He would eliminate Palpatine, because that's what Palpatine tells Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. Lord Vader is more powerful than either of us, he would have done that, and he would have been the Sith Lord running the galaxy. But due to Obi-Wan showing up, fighting him, slicing off his limbs, which severed Anakin's potential, which was the most powerful ever, he essentially set in motion the events of the original trilogy. He altered reality.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, because if you look at the Revenge of the Sith from that sequence, you see that Obi-Wan came into the ship in a stealthy way, and he was trying to be stealthy and randomly appeared in front of Anakin to see if he could confront Anakin and make him come to senses. But Anakin never did. He just got more pissed off.
So think about this for a second, ChatWave. What if Lucas canon, or George Lucas's canon, it's the main course of events that happen due to the actions of the characters, and it leads to George Lucas's sequel trilogy and anything else he wanted to make. But EU and Disney stuff, just EU content and Disney content, all of that is what-if scenarios about if things went differently, sequel trilogy included. If that were to be the case, if that's how Disney course-corrected Star Wars, would you see yourself being happier as a Star Wars fan, or would you see yourself feeling the same way you do now?
Actually, I think that I would be really intrigued if the George Lucas sequel trilogy and all the events that the characters did lead to that. And I would be really down to watching it all the way through. And I would probably just disregard the sequel completely, even though I don't mind Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, you could disregard it. It's just that all EU content, all Disney content, all the content of these two continuities, it's parallel universe, what if material, what if things went differently. And the Lucas era stuff is main continuity material, this is basically how Lucas had it set up when he was running Lucasfilm. His canon was the main continuity, the main universe. And other stuff that was Elseworld stuff, like Star Wars Infinities or the EU, it was parallel universe content showing you what could have happened, basically showing you fans' perspective on Star Wars, having them create content, outside of Lucas.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, if Star Wars was set up that way, no one would lose, because everyone would have their content, their own content, their own continuities, and they can enjoy other continuities of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Everyone already has their own ideas of what Star Wars is. For me, Star Wars is what Lucas made it. But that's not what Disney's doing right now, which is fine. I get that. But if I had my Star Wars, you had your Star Wars, Enos here, I've been seeing him for the majority of this podcast. If he had his Star Wars, I feel like we'd be much happier if compared to a scenario where, ChatWave, you just had your Star Wars, or I just had my Star Wars, or Enos just had his Star Wars, and the rest of us had nothing. We'd be miserable. But if we all had our own Star Wars, then we'd be happier. One of the smartest things DC, Marvel, and Star Trek did is that everyone has their own version of things.
Yeah.
Star Wars was like that under Lucas, because everyone did have their own version of things. And Lucas had his own too when he was running Lucasfilm. Mm-hmm. But Disney undid that. They got rid of all the continuities. They got rid of the entire multiverse structure. And they just stuck to their new universe, and they have destroyed it beyond repair. Does it have fans? Yeah, it has some fans. And I'd even admit that there's things in it that I enjoy. Very, very little, but they exist. But if they didn't get rid of everything else, and they at least listened to Lucas and listened to fans overall, then they'd be in much better standing right now. It would only be their Disney content that's not doing the best, and there'd be other content doing well. And since they want their Disney content to live on so badly, they could have years of eternity to course correct their Disney content without ending it, while using other content to make more money, content that has the quality that fans desire.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been smarter, and heck, Rey probably would have been more accepted in a scenario like this.
Oh, definitely. She would have been more accepted and probably even extended into a better territory.
Character, yeah. Because I said this to my friend Jay Films. He does content too at ChatWave. I told him, he asked me once, because he's trying to be nice and give the Rey movie a chance. I'm like, Rey's character is screwed up from the foundation. If you really want to fix Rey, which he's asking me, can you fix Rey's character? You'd have to go back to the foundations and redo her entire story. Because no one is going... I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of people I do know for sure are not going to be interested in a continuation of her story based on the events that have already happened. So if you reworked her character entirely, you have a shot.
Well, yeah, for sure. And I was thinking, and before I say my thoughts, Anaz has something to say here. He commented, and he said, if I may, Anakin becoming a Sith was part of bringing balance to the Force due to the Jedi and the light side ranging for 1,000 years. After Anakin became a Sith, it was time for the dark side to reign.
Oh, you're thinking of the interesting enough. So you're thinking of the fan of you're seeing one of the fan understandings of balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the fan it's not the only. There's various perspectives of what balance in the Force is, but so one of the fan perspectives of balance is that the light and dark side is like a scale, and the amount of Jedi and Sith determines whether the universe is equally balanced. And technically, Freddie Prinze, the actor for Canon and Rebels, he brought this up in that interview where he's like, I understand the Force and all that stuff, which, buddy, try again. But anyway, I was referring to the Lucas perspective of balance, which is the light side is nature. The dark side is unnature. If you turn to the light side, you'll get more nature, which will bring natural balance. And if you turn to the dark side, it's going to unravel everything because of how chaotic and destructive it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the general idea is that the light side is balance and the dark side is imbalance.
Yeah, the dark side is completely unbalanced. Even because what they do is we care about getting more power, and the Genesis just want more peace. Let's do things more logical and see.
Well, it's beyond power. It's the Force naturally gives life and takes it. The universe, it naturally gives life and takes it. If you have people trying to preserve life or prevent natural occurrences, they're trying to unravel nature and bend it to its will. The Jedi are people that serve nature. They worship it. They follow nature's, natural path. The Sith try to become the gods of nature and try to control it, try to make their own destiny. Mm-hmm. And they go to extreme lengths to do it. So they're polar opposite.
No, totally. They're polar opposite. Even though some people in a different perspective, because I've seen videos and podcast episodes on, are the Jedi's actually the good guys? And there's been lots of theories where we can see how they're not really trying to keep peace. They're just trying to do whatever they want.
That's one of the questions I honestly think people really need to think about. We're I don't mean to make this national or political, but we're American. We live in the West, a lot of us, not all of us, a lot of us. So we have a perspective on the Western hero. Mm-hmm. The Jedi aren't the Western hero.
Nope.
They're the Eastern hero. And the Eastern hero is a traditionalist that does whatever they can to preserve nature. That means that the Jedi are willing to do all sorts of things, to make sure that the Force and the universe stays in balance. Because in the grand scheme, if they don't, the universe will unravel. Lots of people will die. Suffering and pain will happen beyond its natural point. Mm-hmm. And everything itself will fall apart. So the Jedi are greater good type of characters. Greater good type of characters are very morally questionable because how much are you willing to do in the name of the greater good? Are you willing to lie to your student, tell him that his father isn't the most dangerous Sith Lord, and tell him that, basically tell him that his father was killed by a Sith Lord in order to push your student down the direction of following the ways of the Jedi and helping defeat the Sith? Or are you willing to tell them the truth despite their uncontrollable emotions and risk them falling down a dangerous path because you think they deserve to know the truth and you don't want to lie to them? I'm not even telling you that one of them is right and wrong. I'm just saying it's a very complex issue. You don't really know what's the correct decision. You're stressed. Mm-hmm. The Jedi have to make decisions when it comes to saving the universe, keeping it naturally, balanced, and keeping as many lives safe as possible. That sometimes makes you question, what's morally right and wrong. Yeah. It's very difficult,
Yeah, so the podcast episode that I was listening to, they were basing off of some iterations of, and some quotes from Obi-Wan and from Mace Windu. And if you listen clearly to those different points in times where Obi-Wan wanted to literally go in and kill, and same with Mace Windu, you'd be like, but isn't a hero supposed to not kill and just protect and just do what it has to do and to bring justice? But as you said, the Jedis are just like the Eastern hero. We do whatever it must to keep tradition running, to keep things flowing and not have a butterfly effect.
Well, we saw the original. If you ever want to ask, what if the Jedi are wrong? What if the traditional way of the universe and nature is incorrect? What if it's more correct to follow the modern technological future of how the modern person feels? The original trilogy basically shows you that. It shows you rejecting the traditional nature of the universe, following the dark side, following cruelty, following technological advancement, because the Empire was advanced for in Star Wars lore. And it shows you how unnatural it is, how it decays. Like, it can do good for a time, technically, but it's not last. It doesn't last. And to forcefully take away the average person's freedom in the name of security, it never ends well, especially since people do value freedom quite a lot. We clearly saw what happened to the Empire.
Oh, for sure. Yes. Downhill real quick.
Yeah. Well, hey, they lasted for a while, so.
They did what they had to do, just like how Robin says in Teen Titans, in and out. It'll be quick.
Yeah, like, the thing about the Jedi is that I'm not saying that the Jedi will make morally wrong decisions all the time in the name of protecting the universe and keeping the Force in balance. But what I am saying is that every day they face that difficulty when making a choice. Being a Jedi isn't easy. Like Qui-Gon said, it's a very difficult life. And the Jedi aren't like our idea of the superhero. Superheroes are trying to do the impossible. That's why they're superheroes. They're trying to save everyone. They're trying to protect everything. Mm-hmm. And that's admirable. And that's why we look up to them. They're not average heroes. They're superheroes. But Jedi aren't superheroes. Jedi are grounded, and Jedi can die. Jedi have to make decisions. Sometimes Jedi have to accept that they will die in order to protect other life forms from being killed. Being a Jedi, it's accepting the way things are. And that's not really... I would say in concurrence with like a Western hero. The Western hero tries to do the impossible in the name of a moral foundation. The Jedi go by the morals of nature itself, and they try to maintain it, because if they don't, bad things become worse. People ask, why didn't the Jedi go and free Shmi and free all the slaves on Tatooine? It's like, first of all, the Jedi are citizens. They're given permission by the Republic, or not given permission. The Republic requests them to go around making peace with various groups. But Tatooine is outside of the Republic's jurisdiction. And if the Jedi just came on the Tatooine, started freeing slaves and putting, their own Republic citizen-based, views on how things are meant to be in the lives of life forms on this foreign area that doesn't even live under the Republic's jurisdiction, they could potentially start a war with Tatooine residents that just want to be free and not under the Republic's foothold, all in the name of trying to free slaves. This isn't me saying that freeing slaves is bad. I'm just saying that there are consequences that come with certain actions. There are. It's like the Republic would have to invade this area that they have no jurisdiction over and take over everything. And then once they're in charge, then they'll be able to free all the slaves and make them citizens and all the other government political stuff. They would literally have to redo an entire system. And I'm not saying that's morally wrong. I'm just saying it's not easy. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people could potentially die.
Yeah, even people that don't deserve to die.
Yeah, a lot of people could potentially die in the name of trying to right this moral wrong.
Yeah. And do you think if Shmi Skywalker would have been released, do you think Anakin would have gone to a different route?
Probably. I mean, I said this before. The interesting thing about Lucas saying that the Force creates a destiny for you, but since you have free will in Star Wars, you get to choose whether you want to follow it, is that Anakin could have said, screw being a Jedi, I'm going to be a pod racer, and spend his whole life being a pod racer, not fighting the Sith, not doing nothing. He could have done that. We could have an entirely new timeline where a version of Anakin doesn't even become a Jedi. And the reason is because, as Yoda says in Empire, always in motion the future is. So it's like every choice you make is what creates the future. This is why Jedi have to be focused on the present. Because when they're focused on the present, their actions decide the events that happen later. When they look into future visions that they're not even sure about, about how to alter the future and whatever, they're risking undoing what they already have. This is why it's ironic that by Anakin trying to prevent Padme's death, he goes to lengths of the dark side and causes her death. He creates the future he wanted to prevent by trying to alter the future visions he saw. This is the risk that comes with the Jedi not following their own traditions.
Exactly. And that is why I think that most Jedis should abide to that creed of no emotions, no attachments. Because every time I see a Jedi being so attached to something, they automatically destroy whatever they're attached to. And they get their lives destroyed.
Yeah, Jedi aren't even meant to not have emotions. They're meant to control their emotions. Meaning, it's a misconception among some fans that Jedi can't show emotion. That's not the truth. Jedi can show emotion. They can have friends. They can have relationships. But being attached to people, that's possession. That's the unwillingness to accept that these people can die or that they belong to the universe, not yourself. That's unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
You're it's like if I cared about you two, ChatWave and Anos, and I'm willing to unravel the foundations of the universe itself to keep you both alive. I don't think that's healthy.
No, not at all.
I don't know about you, man. Would you be okay knowing that as your friend, I'm willing to kill children to keep you alive?
It's like when you go to the Middle East and they're like, boom, 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 in the name of God. What the fuck? How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Nothing makes any sense, Most of the events in Star Wars are a bit out there, And going back to the topic of if everybody had their own Star Wars, you know what they should do? They should grab Star Wars Vision. Hear me out. Vision. And
I'm hearing you out.
And do George Lucas Vision within a Star Wars Vision.
Honestly, I'm down. I'm down.
And then do like random shorts where we can take some of the scripts and just summarize them in 20 minutes and at least give us a glimpse of what could have happened if George Lucas sequels and all the stuff he had written would have been made.
Star Wars Visions is basically their Star Wars Infinities, you know?
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying.
I think that should be a thing, and it should be, it would be a great idea. I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, why don't we grab already concrete EU stuff and just throw it in Visions? That could work.
I agree.
And it doesn't have to be.
Oh, go. Right, ChatWave, I gotta go eat, but it was awesome spending time and talking to you.
Oh yeah, it's already 10, so my show's already done. I didn't notice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, later, man.
All right, later. Take care. So, like I was saying before I leave, and he left, I think that Star Wars Vision could be great, and it doesn't have to be anime specifically. We saw on the Vision on the second season where everything has a different style. We can have shorts based on what if the Star Wars stuff that George Lucas had premeditated and written down could have been done and could have been placed in there. You know, that could have been a great idea and could have been awesome if we could have had that running and flowing through Star Wars Vision. And if that things cannot be done through there, we can probably either make them in books or comic books or probably have them in video games. Video games are a great way to get ourselves out there in a more simpler way, and the people can have their own will to what sort of path does the character take. You know, something like Knights of the Old Republic. Either you take the light side or the dark side. Ain't like some other Star Wars game that are like a straightforward storyline game. No, but this is just, you know, either you go dark side or light side. You know, and as a Star Wars fan, I always go dark side. It's a really fun route. I play those many times, and I always go dark side. But the thing is that I think that an anthology of George Lucas unproduced stuff could be a great idea. That way Disney doesn't have to disregard what they're doing and have ourselves a little bit of that George Lucas kind of stuff. You know, I think that would be a great idea, and that would have us in a better position for our Star Wars fans. Heck, think about Star Trek. Star Trek has so many different installments, and they cater to so many different people. And at the end of the day, they're doing what they want, you know, catering to different people, and everything has their own point in time and place. Unlike with Star Wars, everything connects really, really heavily to the point that even the bad stuff connects to the good stuff, and we have to accept it, and we have to like keep walking with it. And I don't think I'm agreeing with that. That is one of the reasons why I started diverting and having a detour to Star Trek. Because I want to have, when Star Wars is being a little effy, I go to Star Trek, and when Star Trek is being a little effy, I go to Star Wars, and we balance that out. Even though we're going to have a lot of content of Star Wars most of the time, because Star Wars is my baby, Star Wars is where I'm at. Even though I do like having other contents like music, video games, and Star Trek, and all that, and other geeky topics. I reference a lot of stuff around those areas and places. Yeah. We are just going to have to keep it up. But the question is, and I'll leave it here, and you guys can comment down either on the Spotify question or on x.com. You can answer on the comment section down below. Are the Star Wars fans bigots? You know, lately there's been a lot of controversy with the Acolye. Lots of controversy. You know, Lucasfilms is trying to fix it and all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure they're not being able to fix it. You know, there's been so many controversies with the showrunners of the Acolye. They're trying to change your vision of what the Sith are, and for many fans, it's not quite sitting. It's not quite sitting, and it probably won't sit. No, it just won't. Not at all. There's been harassments. There's been attacks to the cast members, and it's sad to say that Kathleen Kennedy said this decision to do all this stuff in Star Wars was easy decision. She quote unquote said easy decision. You know, this is the biggest Star Wars project that has had the worst backlash ever, and they're still not wanting to acknowledge the backlash. I'm not one to be on board with the people backlashing Star Wars, but come on. It seems like we gotta take it a step back and analyze this stuff. You know, like I said before, Galaxy's Edge has seen, and Star Tour and many areas where they have Star Wars stuff in Disney, they have seen themselves obligated to put more characters out there of different eras. I'll just leave you that. Again, the question, are Star Wars fans bigots? Are they? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being awesome. And I'm Andrew Van Zark, and this is your safe space to go Star Wars, Star Trek, music, and other geeky topics like video games. So let's get it running. And don't forget that June 1st, my original song comes out. Press start. It'll be on every major music platform, so go ahead and enjoy yourselves a little bit of that. It'll be awesome. It'll be great, and you're going to have a blast. If you like that little video gamey styled music, you're going to have a blast. So, as always, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you. Bye. Now you're listening to Andrew Van Zark. You're now listening with power. Power to the music. Bye-bye.
Unite for the sound revolution in Galactic ChatWave Radio. Support Andrew Van Zark's original tunes, the polls of our online radio station, and keep the news blazing like Beskar.
Click, donate, and hit that PayPal button and join the watch. Keep the tunes alive. This is the way.